You really thought you ate? Give me that freaking plate. You know, like that's legit. That's me to Brit Bennett. I'm like, girl, I'm still hungry. I licked the plate. They was crumbs. Can I? What? Hi, and welcome back to another Reading Wednesday. It's your girl, Logan, also known as Sketchbooks and Bookbooks. And new setup a little bit. I literally just moved. I'm in my bedroom, of course. And I finally cleaned up this area enough to have it be a little nice bookshelf. I'm not gonna do a bookshelf tour though, because I really ain't got many books. Those are all my sketchbooks. And then those are just some books. Those are Bibles though. And then, yeah. So one book I own, one book I bought from a library from sale, like the Bluest Eye, and these two are like advanced readers copies that no one wanted. And when I worked at the library, I got first dibs. Not that they're anything really good. Yeah, so done explaining that. And today I'm just gonna review The Vanishing Half and what reminded me. I read this so long ago, and it's also kind of I feel like fake. It's not, I feel like it's still popular, but it was very, I can't remember when it came out, but when it did, it was flying off the shelves and everyone wanted to read it, and there was a waiting list at the library and everything. And I only got to read it because I was about to shelve it. I was about to reshelve it, and then I was like, hey, it's finally, not checked out or anything. And so I checked it out and read it that day. But what was it? Yeah, the reason I was reminded of this book is because I saw Passing, the film adaptation of that book on Netflix with Tessa Thompson. And I was reminded of the same topic pretty much, because it's the same thing of a black person passing as white happens in The Vanishing Half. So yeah, and I have not read Passing. I want to. It's on my to-read, shelf or list or whatever. I have not read it, but I want to read it and then I'll watch the movie and stuff. But yeah. Anyway, today I'm going to be talking about The Vanishing Half, what I liked, what I didn't like. But I guess I should first do the little synopsis. So it takes place in this fictional town called Mallard, Louisiana, where everyone is light-skinned. It's everyone's a mulatto pretty much. Okay, but they're all black, but they're all just very light complected. Think of cream with a drop of coffee, And we, our main characters are the Vignes twins, the Vignes sisters. Is it Vinay or I don't know. I mean, I read the book, but I'm what did I even say? It's not like they said their last names many times. I am such a mess. I'm so sorry. I swear, I should be organized. I should have it all together, but I really don't. Okay. But yeah, the Vignes twins, I guess, twin sisters, they're identical twins. Desiree and Stella, they grow up together in this, mulatto town, and then they move out. And that's Desiree's idea, to move out of town to go to the city. And they stay there for a little while as, being themselves, these light-skinned mulatto girls. And then one day, Desiree comes home and Stella is simply gone. And they don't speak for years. And it's made apparent that Stella began passing as a white woman, living her life as a white woman. And then Desiree has a daughter with this black man, and she's very, very dark. Her name is Jude. And is it Jude? Let me see. Yeah, it's Jude. Okay, and so that's Desiree's daughter. She's dark-skinned, and she has to grow up in the town of Mallard, which is obviously not easy because they're not used to seeing someone as black as her. And then, Stella has a daughter as well, and these two daughters meet up, and, they pass each other. It's a coincidence, really, that they're in the same plot. It's not as if they knew who each other were immediately. Jude does, because she recognizes Stella as her aunt. Of course, since they're identical twins, she recognizes oh, you look like my mom. And so then they finally reconnect after all these years, and there's a lot of perspectives and everything, but that's pretty much the core of the story, is that there's these two twin sisters. One lives their life as a colored woman and the other one passes as white. and that is The Vanishing Half by Brit Bennett, pretty much. Okay, that's the gist. So we're gonna get right into it. I'm gonna start with the pros and go with the cons. You know how it goes, I guess. So my first pro is actually that it starts an important conversation with racism and its after effects, like the fact that on the planet Earth you can't go to a single destination that's not affected by racism. But not only, like, racism is not just racism, and it became colorism, and that's a major theme in this book. And I just think, like, at least those ignorant to the subject of this, like, of the idea of Black people being forced to disown themselves in order to live a peaceful life, you know, in this society. At least it makes that apparent to them, you know. I guess it opens that really dark door to that thinking, I suppose, if you're ignorant to it. If you were, like, historically, I mean, of course people have done that, and logistically it's like, if you see someone getting treated better than you are, wouldn't you want to be that person? It's like, wouldn't if every Black person had a chance, like, wouldn't you be white? But no, because I think mostly it's like most people have too much pride to do that. Like, it's like, what's the point of succeeding if you're not succeeding as yourself? How good is that equality and that respect gonna feel, knowing that it cost your identity, you know, to get it? But yeah, it's like The Vanishing Half kind of deals with that internal struggle. It's not the first book to do that, of course, like I said, because, like, what made me think of this book again was Passing. And then there's also the autobiography of an ex-colored man, which I read as well, which I think is, like, better than this one. I'm not sure about Passing because, like I said, I haven't read it, but I would probably go on a limb and say it's probably better than this as well. But anyway, it starts the important conversation for this generation that maybe doesn't know about the other two books I just named, you know, dealing with the same struggle of being, like, dealt the gift of passing, I guess. And, like, if you could, then why wouldn't you? Yeah. Anyway, so that's my first pro. And my second one is it looks good on my virtual Goodreads shelf. Pop the cover up there for a second. I do like it. Even though it's kind of generic, I think there's, like, a lot of contemporary books that go with, like, the same abstract bright colors theme, like loose shapes that obviously are deal with the title or whatever, the themes, but it's definitely, like, it's its own lane of books that look like this. But I still like it. I still like how it looks. And at least, like, that's every book that I dislike usually has a pretty cover, so I don't, like, completely regret reading it, you know. Which goes into my next pro, which is that I finally read the book it seems like everyone was talking about, you know, because Brit Bennett won the golden ticket for authors when The Vanishing Half was, like, accepted into, like, the Oprah's book club or whatever. I don't even know how long that's been going on, but, like, if you get in there, it's amazing, because it's so esteemed. It's like, oh, Oprah cares about this and people care about Oprah, so they're going to read your book and they're going to buy your book and they're probably going to love your book because Oprah likes it. I don't know, and it's popular. I didn't like it, but hey, it's in Oprah's book club, and that is a feat. I think. I'm doubting it now because I didn't like it. I didn't like this book, but it was chosen, and I'm like, Oprah, why? But, you know, I think mostly because it starts an important conversation. I do think that is true. For this day and age, maybe, for this day and age. And that's pretty much all the pros I have. Those three. I think they're pretty good. At least solid two solid pros. The fact that the cover was pretty has nothing to do with the story itself, but whatever. I added it because I wanted to. And now we're gonna move on to the cons. What I did not like. Obviously, I don't think it was worth the hype at all. I really don't get it. Like, everyone rants and raves about this book, it seems, and I counted how many of my friends on Goodreads, like, gave this 4 stars and up, and it's like at least 30 of them really liked this book or thought it was amazing, and I gave it 2 stars. I gave it 2 for okay, because it was. I think this is the definition of okay. Like, okay, all right. I really just don't get it. I still don't understand why it got all that hype. I really think it maybe has to deal with the fact that no one's talked about this particular issue and struggle, or this facet of racism in a while. I really think that's like the only reason it's like gotten so much attention, is that people have forgotten the works of Passing and, you know, the autobiography of an ex-colored man. People have forgotten about those and maybe don't even know about those exist, so this is here. But I feel like it is a watered down version of the books I just named, which goes into my next con of like every issue explored is surface level. If like I could create an analogy of how Brit Bennett explored racism and colorism and the internal struggle of forsaking your identity, your racial identity, for a better chance at life, I would say it's like if an explorer, no, it's like Christopher Columbus going to discover India, but instead of like trying to take the land, he just stepped on it, saw the Indians there doing their thing, or the Native Americans, right? Because it wasn't India. Saw the Native Americans doing their thing, was like, alright, pack it up, fellas, we gonna leave. That's good. That's good. Yeah, we saw it. Takes one picture, leaves. That's it. That's the exploring you got, you know? Which honestly, now I'm like, but since I said it was Christopher Columbus, I'm like, that's how it should have happened. But yeah, I just feel like nothing was explored. Nothing was explored, you know? It's like if astronauts went to a planet and didn't take any samples. Didn't take samples of nothing. They just looked and they were like, yeah, the dirt, purple. Do we know what it was made of? No. Did we try to figure it out? But we went there. Tell you that, like the astronauts came back and just told NASA that. And the cameras malfunctioned the whole time, like they couldn't see jack. But they swear they went there. That's how I feel Brit Bennett explored the themes of The Vanishing Half. I felt like literally everything was ironically half done. Pun intended, like half done. I was like, what are you saying? Like, yes, this exists, but give me something more. I felt like no meaningful observations were made. Nothing that I didn't already know and think about myself, okay? I'm like, I'm very disappointed. I'm so confused. It's just like, especially since this, like I said, I've read the autobiography of an ex-colored man, and if I was to compare the two, in the autobiography of an ex-colored man, we start with him as a colored man, and he's also like, he's a musician, I believe. And that motivates him a lot. Like, he wants to be a successful, acclaimed musician, okay? And the author of that one, I'm gonna put his name on screen because I completely forgot. I actually can look it up. James Weldon Johnson. That was his name. James Weldon Johnson. He takes you into the psyche of the main character and why he made the choices he did to forsake his identity as a black man and accept that one of a white man. He took you through that. He said it made sense to the reader, okay? He was like, he wants to be a musician, and you saw him struggle with it too. You saw the character struggle with this acknowledgement and this idea, I guess, that he actually could be a white person. Like, he's like, I'm light enough to be white. Like, people have to ask me what I am. I get to choose whether to check the colored box or not. I have that power. And that he's struggling with that. He was struggling with that, and it made it, I love that book. It was wonderful. But in like The Vanishing Half, you never really get an answer from Stella as to why she decided to become a white woman. You don't get it. And I feel like, or the one that Brit Bennett gave was very just, like I said, surface level. It was paper thin to me. As if, you know, just logically, oh, if you could live better, why wouldn't you? Just like that. And I mean, I understand maybe like simple literature, or like simple as key or whatever, I don't know. I get that, but racism isn't simple, you know? It's like, it just bothers me. I just didn't like that. I felt like the whole story, and the pacing is really kind of slow too, and you jump, so the whole story, I'm kind of waiting to figure out like why Stella did what she did. Like you had to leave behind your twin sister, and twins are supposed to be like, they're identical twins, like you have such a close bond, so you left your whole family behind, you can't contact anybody, and you have this family, and that's it. I mean, like you live in a nice neighborhood, and that's supposed to be worth it. Like I was waiting for that. I was waiting to figure out why she did that, and I felt like Brit Bennett could never answer me. The answer she gave was just not enough, and then it upset me even more because the family seemed to accept it, and I was like, but Stella never really explained it all, so it bothered me. I just feel like everything was just touched upon, but nothing was really, like Brit Bennett didn't dig her teeth into anything, and especially since this is a story that's been done before, like this is something that's happened multiple times in history by countless individuals, I'm sure. Okay, so she didn't add anything new, she didn't do anything new, and I was very disappointed. Maybe it's like me just expecting too much on a conversation about racism, especially from like a black woman. Maybe it's me, but I feel like that's an extremely egotistical view to think that I'm the deepest critical thinker on race theory. I'm not. Okay, there's no way I am. So I'm just like, this is simple. I was very disappointed. Anyway, so my next con is that I've lived in the South all my life. I literally have never lived anywhere else. I visited other places, but I was born and raised in the South. And so for me, it was very difficult to get through this book because Brit Bennett's voice, it felt very forced. She had this Southern voice, especially for Desiree, that sister, because she like kind of stays in the South her whole life. That felt just so inauthentic, and it felt just necessary for the story, so that's why Brit Bennett was like forcing it so much. But I hated it. Oh my gosh, it just took me out of the story completely, because I was like, this is someone who never lived in the South trying to adopt that dialect and that like camaraderie and natural familial tone that like an old Southern black woman has, like when she calls you baby or love or something like that. And it just felt so flat for me. I was like, this is awful. Okay, it struck me as like a foreigner trying to invoke the sense of like a wise Southern person. It just didn't work. And I'm like, so maybe like people who weren't from the South like would be okay with her point of like with her tone and stuff of the writing, but it was maybe like another Southern person read it and thought it was fine, but I did not. And because I remember reading a different book too at the same time, and it was, or like maybe right after I finished The Vanishing Half, and I think it was called like it was about the Tulsa Massacre. It's a YA. I'm gonna put it on the screen. I know it was something like Something Burning, but that author did the Southern voice more authentically than Brit Bennett did, in my opinion. I was like, this is natural. I can buy this. Like, I can buy that this person is from the South. But in like The Vanishing Half, I really could not. It constantly took me out of the story because I'm thinking like, this is from an author that has never been in the South. This is from an author who is forcing this voice because it's necessary to the story, and she's never been there, or something like she didn't grow up there, because it was awful. And then that's like, it kind of put this together, but so this forced Southern voice made it hard to read, but then there was just multiple point of views. I felt like there was so many that I was like, it wasn't necessary to me at all. Okay, I really wish we had kept it to like just the principal characters, which is pretty much just like blood relatives. I wish it was just the twin sisters and then their offspring, and that's really all I needed to me. Okay, I kind of get you get Desiree's lover's point of view because he's trying to track down Stella at one point. You get that one, which is, I mean, he was nice. I liked his point of view and I liked him, but I just don't think it was like necessary. Or I wish there was like another way we could have done that. And then you also got Raul, who what's his name, Raul? He was the boyfriend of Desiree's daughter. Yeah, you got his point of view a little bit, but either way, I was just like, there was way too much for me. It was too much. I was like, if we could just pick, some, That would be nice. But yeah, and so like I think this is my last con, okay? And it kind of goes back to how this book is so popular and why I think it's really popular with people who maybe never opened their minds to this kind of topic in conversation or whatever. I went to a book club where like the only ones who disliked the book were the ones who were represented in it. Okay, like it was mostly like white moms, and they were really nice. And then it was like 2 people from the LGBTQ community who brought up a subplot that had completely gone over my head, or like it was a comparison that I had missed, which was Raul was the boyfriend of Desiree's daughter, and he is transgender, like female to male transgender. And in it, like, I guess Brit Bennett was trying to make a comparison between the LGBTQ community and like hiding who you are, you know, and racism, and like, you know, I mean, people of color having to hide who they are, I guess, that was the comparison. And the 2 girls who identified, you know, as a part of the LGBTQ community, and they were also both white, they were like, no, but like white supremacy is still very much rooted in the LGBTQ community. They're like, that doesn't make sense, that like I have to tell people that, you know, what my sexuality is. It's not like just stamped on my forehead. So no, I understood the comparison she was making, but I just didn't think it was strong enough, and they thought it was like and I just really appreciated them saying that, because like I said, I showed up to the book club and I didn't even know that was a thing that Brit Bennett was trying to do. I just thought she had representation in there for just the sake of it. I didn't know that she was trying to make a comparison between the 2, which I kind of agree with the girls, because I mean, I just think that's a weak comparison. I really do. I'm just like, I think that you'll face discrimination for both of those things, but it's not like as apparent as my skin color. You know, I was just like, okay, that was just like, I get it. I understand the comparison though, but I'm not really a fan of that one either. But I mean, people are gonna draw it no matter what, because I mean, you're marginalized in one way or another, okay? But it's like, let's just don't compare struggles, I suppose. But yeah, those are kind of the reasons I did not like The Vanishing Half, and I just find it really funny that like the 2 groups that were represented in the book, like black people and the LGBTQ community, and then like I went to that book club and the 2 people who were actually in the book didn't like it. Like the 2 groups who were in the book did not like that book. I feel like the more you know about this subject, the more disappointed you will be by this story and what Brit Bennett brought to the table, which honestly wasn't very much. It's like if it was a potluck, okay, a literary potluck of like on the subject of colorism, she brought like store-bought brownies, and I'm supposed to be happy with that. You know, it's like, you didn't get what you were supposed to have gave. Do you understand? Yeah, so I gave this 2 stars, I think. I'm pretty sure. I'm gonna read my review too, I guess. Though I'm like, when I make these in-depth like book reviews or whatever, I try to make them in-depth. I always say, I stick pretty closely to what I say in my review, you know, because I always like, I have to dissect what I thought. So yeah, okay. So this is the review of The Vanishing Half, okay? I did give it 2 stars because it was just okay for me. I didn't even like it. I really didn't. I still don't. I'm still just like so disappointed. I'm so disappointed in it. Anyway, this book would be my biggest surprise of the year, because after all the hype and praise, I am shocked I struggled to read it. I am not a big fan of this. Bennett's voice felt forced from the first page, like a foreigner trying to speak wisdom from the American South. Especially with Desiree, since that's where she remained, Bennett seemed most comfortable narrating Jude, but still not authentic. So Jude was Desiree's daughter. That I never called her by her name the whole review, so I apologize. Anyway, at the end of the day, wait, no, I skipped a whole paragraph. So I was not a fan of hearing everyone's thoughts. I haven't read enough third-person omniscient to know if it holds the same disdain I have for second person, but I didn't like it in this book. At the end of the day, Bennett's story didn't tell me anything new about being black in America or passing for white. All the points felt obvious, and I don't know what I truly gained from reading it other than to say that I did. I most enjoyed Jude and Reese's story. His name was Reese. I called him Raul, and his name was Reese. Why would you do that? Oh my gosh, I don't even think Reese was Hispanic, but I named him Raul. I'm sorry. I don't know. I have a coworker named Raul, if that helps. That's so sad. I'm embarrassed. Anyway, let me continue. So I most enjoyed Jude and Reese's story. I didn't know a transgender character would be present, but felt Bennett gave Reese the same respect as every character and presented his problems well without making them the main focus of his life. Which I mean, like, he did, there was like a subplot of him trying to save up to get top surgery, but I like that we got to know like, he did photography too. Like, it wasn't his whole thing, wasn't the fact that he was like a transgender female to male person. You know, I just like that that wasn't like his whole thing. I like that. She treated him the same, that's all I'm saying. Anyway, so I don't even believe I liked this story. I think it's definitely a 2 for okay, but we'll see if I change my mind later. I did not. And I might read Bennett's past books just to see what her real voice is or if this is it, and I simply don't like her storytelling. I really don't get the hype for this, like at all. I'm very confused about what warrants high praise in the story I read. Yeah, and you see like several, I could 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, well, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. That's how many friends I have on Goodreads who like gave this 4+ stars, or 4 and like 4 and up, you know? They loved it, they liked it. And I'm just like, why? I'm like, why? I'm like, but I'm thinking, I really do think maybe it's just like, maybe no one else critical, but that seems so egotistical to believe that I am the deepest thinker on race. I'm not. I'm not. Let's be honest. I'm not Ms. Malcolm X over here. I just want more. I just wanted more. I expected more. And I mean, there's so many. There's at least, there has to be like 30 of my friends who loved this book, or really liked it at least. A 3-star I can understand, like you liked it, but I just really, I'm like, no, like it's that TikTok audio for me. It's like, you really thought you ate? Give me that freaking plate. You know, like that's legit. That's me to Brit Bennett. I'm like, girl, I'm still hungry. I licked the plate, they was crumbs. Can I, what? Can I get some more? Like, does that even make sense with the analogy? Like, you really thought you ate? Give me that plate. Oh. No, I guess it would be more like Brit Bennett left a full plate of food and then I can have a full, I don't know, that's weird. I'm not gonna get into it. I'm not gonna get too deep into it. Yeah. I was not a fan. I really wasn't. I was not a fan. Anyway, thank you for joining me on this Reading Wednesday for my book review and thoughts on The Vanishing Half by Brit Bennett. It's, yeah. If you liked it, tell me why. If you liked it, tell me why. Tell me what you got from it. Because, you know, yeah. And if you didn't like that, if you didn't like this book, tell me that too. I am really interested. Like, I really want to know. I'm not trying to be a bigot here. Like, I'm not trying to be that like fallacy where anyone's opinion that differs from my own is invalid. I don't I don't try to have that mindset. So please tell me like what you appreciated about it, you know, what Brit Bennett like revealed to you, what it did for, I don't know. Please enlighten me. So anyway, yeah, go read a book, have some thoughtsy-watsies, you know, have a great day, hydrate yourself. Bye.